Here's the reason P. Diddy did not get bail in his criminal case. In any federal criminal case, there are two factors that any judge will consider to determine whether somebody is going to get bail or not. Those two factors are whether you are a danger to the community and/or whether you are a flight risk. If either of those factors exist, the judge is not going to allow you to post bail. And posting bail in a federal case is completely different than in a state case. We don't use bail bondsmen. People will offer equity in property, they will offer cash, they will have individuals sign for them and vouch for them. In the Diddy case, I believe that they collected passports from Diddy's children to submit to the court, so they would know that not only will he not flee, but he will not take his children with him. So if they're stuck here, he is stuck here. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to explain to you why P. Diddy's bail was denied and why anybody's bail would be denied in general in federal court. I'm Diane Bass. I'm a federal criminal defense attorney, and I help people who are charged with crimes. So let's talk about Diddy's case and the first point, which is whether or not he's a flight risk. He clearly is a flight risk. The dude is worth $1 billion. He has his own airplane and resources, probably more than any defendant ever in history. So he has the ability to take off, not to mention the fact that he lives in Los Angeles, which is a 3-hour drive to the Mexican border. And once he's in TJ, he can take a plane anywhere in the world. So a flight risk is somebody who is likely to flee and not show up for court. So somebody in Diddy's shoes who is facing life in prison is not going to want to face life in prison, and they're going to want to take off. I mean, seriously, wouldn't you? An example of somebody who avoided prosecution for years and years and years is Julian Assange, who remained out of the country until he finally, I guess, got sick of hiding and decided to come and face the music. So the second factor that any federal judge will consider when deciding whether to let somebody bail out during the proceedings is whether or not they are a danger to the community. Now, I did not attend the bail hearing in Diddy's case, but I would assume that the U.S. Attorney's Office absolutely argued that he was a danger, because at any point he could threaten witnesses, intimidate people, pay them off. Now, can he do this from jail? Of course he can. But is it much less likely if he's in custody? Yes. So another thing to be aware of is the fact that all jail calls are recorded. So if Diddy is making calls, which he absolutely is, and he's asking people to intimidate witnesses or pay people off, the feds are going to listen to these phone calls and they're going to know about it. So the only way that he can have private conversations is if somebody comes to visit him. And in the event that a family member or friend comes to visit him and they have a visit in person, there is still no promise of confidentiality, because you are going to be in a room with other people around you, including the guards, and anybody can overhear this conversation. So the only confidential conversations that Diddy is having while he's in custody are with his attorneys. So what this means for Diddy is that he is going to be stuck in custody until the trial is over. If the jury returns a guilty verdict, which is extremely likely in this case, he will never see daylight again except during his 1-hour breaks where he gets to go outside when he's serving his sentence. The best thing that anyone can do when they're facing federal charges is hire a criminal defense attorney who practices in federal court immediately, so that they can do everything that they can to potentially prepare for a bail hearing and maybe keep the person out of custody while the charges are pending and until the trial is over, and hopefully after the trial is over. We're going to be following this case closely, so check out my website, check out my other videos, and if you or anyone you know have been contacted by law enforcement, please reach out to us immediately so we can protect your constitutional rights.